Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Glad to be back. And if you're new in this time, please make sure to like and subscribe to our videos so that you can get the constant science content every day at 10:30 at 3. Welcome. Awesome. So we have a pretty cool video to talk about today, but I just want to make sure I give everyone a second to connect. But if you haven't heard, you might be thinking what today's about. We're going to be talking about liquids and what they do when they flow and what happens when a liquid has a resistance to flow. All right. Welcome, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us. So if it's all right, I'm going to start talking. So again, my name is Matt, and I'm a guest engagement specialist at the Great Lakes Science Center. But unfortunately, due to what's going on, the museum itself is closed for the health and safety of all of our guests, patrons, and staff. And to make up for that, we're bringing science to you at home from our home every day at 10:30 a.m. and 3 p.m. So if you haven't already, go like and subscribe because we want to make sure that you get it fresh every day. So today, we have something pretty cool to talk about. And we're actually inspired by our partners and friends at Nordson. Nordson is a company that processes adhesive and liquid management every day. And did you know they actually are a company with the headquarters right here in Northeast Ohio? Yeah, they actually have their headquarters in Westlake. Pretty neat. But with their inspiration, today we are talking about viscosity. Viscosity, so a weird word, but it's cool because it describes something specific and it describes a liquid's resistance to flow. So let's learn about it. So first, to show viscosity, we're going to talk about water and food coloring. So I have a bottle, and in the bottom of this bottle, I have some green food coloring. And so with that, I'm going to pour some water in, and let's see what happens. First, I want to ask you guys, do you think that water has a high or low viscosity? You tell me. So if you can tell, it seems that the liquid has taken on the green quite instantly, and it's almost entirely green. So with that, I can discern that the viscosity of this liquid is very low because of how much it didn't resist change and how it just took on the green, and it also flowed really quickly. So if I know water has a low viscosity, how can I measure viscosity? Well, if you're like me and you're a scientist at home, because all of you are, and you don't have a viscometer, then we can use something like this. But a viscometer is something that scientists in a fancy lab would use to measure viscosity. So our rudimentary viscometer today is a series of liquids. So if you wanted to do this test at home to see the viscosity of the liquids that you have access to, if you want it to be the highest accuracy, make sure that you use or only change one variable. To do so, make sure all liquids are the same amount and in the same container. But if you're limited like so, we can still find the likeness of our viscosities. So before us, I have 4 containers. This one has water. This one has vegetable oil. This one has a heavy cream. And this one has pouring medium. Now, our goal is to figure out the viscosity of each or their relation to each other within viscosity. And to do so, we need a universal force, and we have one, gravity. And our goal is to drop a marble into each of the liquids to see how fast the marble goes through. Let's see what happens. Pretty instantaneous. A little bit slower. About as fast as the water. That just hit. So it seems that we have 4, like on a scale, we have our lowest viscosity, our medium, a little bit more, and then our highest viscosity goes to this pouring medium, which is used for painting. So this is real thick like glue. So that means that it has a real high viscosity because of how much it resisted the fall of the marble through the liquid. So we now know how to measure viscosity, but I think we can do something cool with it. So we know how to measure it, and we know what goes on with it, but can we take inspiration from our friends at Nordson and make something really neat? I think we can. So first I'm going to remove our marble from this fella. And then our goal now is to use what we used before. I'm going to fill the water all the way up on this plastic bottle. And now what we have is we have two plastic bottles, and this one's full of water and food coloring, and this one is about to be full of oil and a little bit of food coloring. It's vegetable oil, to be specific. Awesome. I'm going to add a little bit more oil to that, just so we can get it all the way up to the top. Awesome. So what we have are two very different viscous liquids. We have our water, which we know has a low viscosity due to our test, and it took on all the green. And then we have this one, which is the vegetable oil, which seems much more of a higher viscosity, but I actually had food coloring in the bottom of it, and it hasn't moved. So we can confirm that it has a very high viscosity. So with your inspiration of coolness at Nordson, our goal is to use our information of viscosity to make an hourglass. Now, an hourglass is something to measure time, and if you're familiar, it might be something you've seen where it uses sand. But today, we're going to be using what we learned about viscous liquids to make a liquid hourglass. And to do so, first, we need what I've showed you here, two plastic bottles with two different viscous liquids in them and a connecting device. So our connecting device here is the caps corresponding to the bottles, and I've glued them together. And I've done so with epoxy, but you can do it with super glue or hot glue, but make sure you have adult supervision in this process. With that supervision, then cut two holes into the bottle caps, and you can do that with a drill or scissors. But then you're going to take a 2-inch or 2.5-inch piece of straw and put it into that hole, and then use whatever glue you used around the outside of the straw to try to make it as airtight as possible. And then lastly, we'll put a piece of duct tape around the caps to try to make it as airtight as we could. Now, our goal is to attach it to one of these objects so that they can become parallel and we can see it work. But my question to you is, which one should I put on top first? Which one should I invert? Well, with what we learned about viscosity, I think I should invert this one. Because it has such a high viscosity, it's going to resist change and therefore spill on me less. So let's try it. So, what do we see? Well, I'll tell you what I see. I see that we have these two liquids very slowly switching places. And what's happening is we have drip, drip, drip of the green coming up as the oil goes down. And this happens at a specific rate. Now, the question is, if you have your own at home, what's the rate? And with that, spoiler, our challenge for today is, can you make your own liquid hourglass at home? All you need, two different viscous liquids, and the more different they are in viscosity, the cooler it'll be. Two plastic bottles, the caps to go with them, a single straw, tape, and some glue. And with that, you can make yourself your own at-home hourglass. So please do so, and please share all your awesome gizmo creations with us using the hashtag StayCuriousCLE, because we really love seeing what you guys come up with, and it's awesome. So thank you guys so much for being inspired with us and our partners at Nordson and playing with our viscous liquids and making this cool awesomeness. But now please don't forget to check back in today at 3 p.m. for our follow-up video about viscosity, and to check in tomorrow at 10:30 and 3 for more awesome science at home. Thank you so much, and until next time, stay curious.